Hello, my name is Mariana, and today this is a collective reading because today is the full moon in Virgo. So, because it's a collective reading, I'm doing it with my big combined deck of tarot cards and astrological oracle cards. There are only tarot cards here on the spread, but on the bottom of the deck, there is this beautiful Jupiter that is just reinforcing the message that is coming right off the bat with the Nine of Cups, which is the opening card for this part. So what this Nine of Cups is saying for the collective for this full moon is that we do have a wish that wants to be fulfilled. We do have a desire that wants to be attained and experienced, but do we know what it is? And I feel like that's the great question here with the Nine of Cups. The image that I saw was kind of like that first moment where Aladdin unleashes the genius that was stuck in the bottle, right? Or in the lamp or whatever that was. And because of that, it's like the genius is so grateful that it's, asking Aladdin, what does he want? It's like, what are the three wishes that he wanted to have fulfilled? It's like whatever it was, it's like the most unthinkable imaginable things, right? And so there are no boundaries, there are no limits. This is the type of dreaming and wishing that this Nine of Cups has in this collective reading today. So yeah, that's just, this opening card that is just opening up with this question, this reflection on what do we really want as a human collective if there weren't any restrictions, any boundaries, any conditions. It's like, do we know what we truly want as a collective? And by that, I mean, do we know what we want internally as an individual who is part of this collective? Are we clear about what our wishes are? Are we clear about what our desires are? And I feel like, to be honest, there's a lot of reflection that needs to be happening right now because the Hermit, and by the way, the Hermit represents Virgo, so it's very in tune with this full moon and Virgo energy of today. So maybe this day, this full moon in Virgo is helping us to reflect in a very practical but also very spiritual way. What do we want? What do we want individually? What do we want for our lives? But also, what do we want as a collective? Because to me, the nines, they do represent the individual path, but because this is a collective reading, it's almost like this is, a path that the collective is going to experience as a unit, right? So the individual path could be like this double meaning today of the individual, like each person experiencing this, fulfillment of a desire, but needing to reflect upon it, but also as like this grander scheme of things, like, do we really know what we want as a collective? And I feel like no, right? Because otherwise, like if we knew, we wouldn't have to take so long to reflect upon, our wishes, or, if a genius comes out of nowhere, right, in a very magical way and grants us or says or promises that, he can grant us with three wishes, whatever we think of. It's like we would just know right at the bat, right? It's like, we wouldn't have to think a lot. But I feel like we don't know what we want, right? It's like this is what the Nine of Cups is showing me. It's like there isn't this security or this certainty in terms of what we truly desire as a collective. Perhaps because we are so polarized, because, we are so divided right now at this moment in time, but also because there's this reflection with the Hermit that is connected to Virgo, and Virgo being, this earth sign that is connected to Mother Earth and Gaia and the planet. It feels like an individual internalization, like an individual introspection, a moment where each one, like each person, each human being can be inside, right? Can be inward focused, but to think in how one's wishes or one's individual desires can actually shape the desire of, or the fulfillment of a desire, of the planet, of the whole group, right? Of this human collective. So there is a lot that this hermit needs to think about. Just a second. Sorry about that. So going back to the hermit and its connection to this inner reflection that not only, each one of us have the opportunity to go through right now, but how this actually impacts this fulfillment of like this bigger wish, right, for humanity. And the beautiful thing, although the two cards here are not traditionally, the most comfortable, it's like, the 10 and the 9 of wands, they actually flip together, and the 9 was behind the 10. So this has, this profound meaning of, yes, there is this understanding that there is this collective wish, but there is also this individual wish, right? So there is this concern, I want to say, for the shared path or for the collective. The more that each one of us go on this inner journey and just reflect upon what we truly want, it's almost like when we are inside this tent, I know that this looks like a pyramid, but to me just feels like this very humble tent where the one who's inside is not really caring too much about the appearance or the luxury, right? It's like it's a very simple environment, but one that enables the seeker to find like gold in the most humble of environments, right? It's like the one who really, really transforms, like, the, what is that saying of the alchemist? Transforms copper into gold or something like that. I don't know exactly the phrase, but it's like, a very hard metal, maybe, hard experiences previously into something that is golden, something that is like this very cherished and very kind and very generous wish, right? So there is this reflection, I want to say, that this full moon is bringing to us all of what we truly desire, not like for just selfish things, right, or reasons or objectives, but things that we know that have like this bigger, deeper impact on us all, right, and the planet itself. So this is all going on inside this hermit, this tent. So this is, this alchemist cabin or lab, or however you want to see this. It's like the perfect sacred environment that enables us all to go into, and then to, it's kind of like discern what is the shared path and the individual path. What is, it's kind of like the burdens of wishing something for the whole, wishing something for the collective, but also having your own needs met or having your own desires fulfilled, right? It's kind of like this weighing the pros and cons of whether or not is valuable, I want to say. And I feel like there is a positive conclusion that you get to, because here, because they are the same suit, because traditionally these cards are talking about like, holding the burdens or carrying the burdens of others and carrying the burdens of, your own past history or your own past struggles, and that just weighing you down one way or another, right? Whether you are with others that are, just contributing to bring you down even more, or if you are alone and that alone brings you this sense of loneliness, or like being left aside or being abandoned, or and that just diminishing your confidence, diminishing your energy. But because these cards also, they have been coming up so much recently, and they have also been bringing back the meaning that I saw a long time ago with these cards, that is like kind of like this transcendence of the traditional burdens of these two cards. So both of them are showing this beautiful path of flowers. The flowers are yet to bloom, so it's almost like the ones who are here, you know, daring to walk this path, daring to do this inner work. It's like we have to have the hope, or we have to have the faith, right, that among our studies and personal perceptions and discoveries, that there are beautiful potential flowers that can bloom even from this muddied piece of land or road or dirt or field or journey, right? So there is this discernment. There is this exercise in how do you discern what is somebody else's dream and what is your dream. How can you not let that affect your decision making? Because it's kind of like, you know, again, the fulfillment that is going to be like for you, for your sense of personal satisfaction, personal realization, but also like this collective unified dream, like that is like the ultimate bliss, ultimate fulfillment. So how do you bring these two together? Because they want to line up, but you start, because you know, after the Hermit we do have the 10, and then we go to the 9. So this means to me that it starts with this collective concern, with this you know, maybe at first just being very realistic, because Virgo is very, you know, this very realistic practical sign. It's like doing this investigation of how maybe other people's dreams have sabotaged my own dream, right? Maybe you can start from there, because ultimately it leads to the 9 of Wands, which is you with your own energy, you with your own dreams and wishes and desires, right? If we think of the fiery aspect of the Wands in comparison to the very watery nature of the Cup suit, here we have this wish that is meant to bring this sense of like just refreshment, right? It's like when you are just, you know, being cleansed by the water, and it's just like refreshing. But then here, all of the fire, you know, yesterday the Cancer reading, it was talking about like changing that pattern of self-destruction into something that is bringing again that creative juice, right? The creative inspiration that was shed, or that was put aside for maybe a long time. But here in this collective reading, it feels like there is this very conscious study of how this fire has been shaping the shared path, but also your individual path. So it's almost like looking first. I know that this is, you know, looking inside, but first, because it's the shared path, it's like, okay, the analysis starts when you look at outside, like what are the signs, what are the energetic imprints that are ruling this external reality, right? And how are these dreams being fulfilled in such a way out there, and how this impacts ultimately my own desire, my own vibration, right? It's like, how can I align to my own desires if I am very influenced, or you know, and yesterday was all about the devil influencing Cancer, and then Cancer just, you know, saying enough is enough and not allowing the devil to influence anymore. So it's kind of like a similar thing, but in this larger scale, right? So this collective scale where each one of us have kind of like this duty, because also Virgo is a sign that is very devoted to serving, right? So it's almost like in order to serve myself and the others, I do have to go inside so that I can analyze or discern like what is the state of the world at this time, especially because the world is coming next. So how is this world tying me to a certain pattern that instead of allowing me or encouraging me to see all of these beautiful blooming flowers that are yet to show its beauty, are actually just bringing me down and weighing me, you know, to this negative belief that things are bad, or things don't have like, you know, this reason to hope for better days, right? So this is all happening here. So I feel like even though it is a collective theme or a collective encouragement, it is a very private experience, but maybe one that is, so universal, right? The types of analysis, critical analysis of what's happening with the world. And I'm going to just get to the point where the world speaks, and it's so gorgeous because it's kind of like, this is Gaia, Mother Earth, speaking through each one of us, through our own thoughts, through our own reflections. But then when we are thinking the earth, right, or thinking how our own wishes are shaping the earth, and how, past desires have been shaping the world to the state that it is, it just flips to like sensing. It's almost like, when, I don't know if you've had that, but I've had that many, many times, especially when I'm in an environment that I don't know anybody. It's very hard to feel this, for me at least, my own experience, if I know people, because I get distracted with relationships, right? So, but when I am in an environment, like an open space, a public space, like, I'm just walking on the street and I don't know anybody there, right? They're strangers to me. I just feel, and lately it's been like very, very strong happening, like, in a very constant way for me. Whenever I am in the world, right, experiencing the world with people that I don't know, I am in the shared path essentially, but it's my own experience of this collective. So this is why I'm sharing this experience with you. So whenever I am in these public spaces, I do go, like, it feels like I have like this very private conversation with myself, but ultimately it's like it leads to a conversation, and better said, like, it's not just a conversation, it's more like an understanding and an acknowledgement, a recognition of every single person, every single stranger that is crossing my path that don't know me and I don't know them personally. It's like every single person is sharing the same path. So in a sense, it's kind of like I can hear their thoughts. And I know that this is very, very weird because I don't really hear their thoughts. It's my own thoughts, right? It's a very personal and private experience, but I can sense them. It's almost like I can perceive beyond their physical vessel, beyond their external layer, which is, most of the times like this hustle type of culture, right? So this is kind of like this inner process of going very deeply into something that has the purpose of unlocking, in a sense, our own wishes, just like, Aladdin. And he was not trying, right? It was, by mistake, let's say, that he unlocked and liberated and freed the genius. But it's kind of like that. Maybe this full moon in Virgo is doing that to us, right? It's having that effect on us, both individually but also collectively. And so analyzing what is the state of the world right now, it's actually unveiling how we are tied, how we are locked, or how we are well, it could be seen in two different ways, because the Seven of Wands was giving me ties and knots, right? Specifically the knots, right? Just imagine like a fisherman's net, right? Or whatever type of net that comes to your mind right now. A volleyball net, or whatever it is, a football net or a soccer net. It's like, maybe that's significant also, because if we think of the soccer or the football net, right, the a goal, right, it's like maybe that's the goal. What is the goal, right? It's like thinking about the net itself, how we are all intertwined, because we are here in this, like, if we zoom out a little bit, we are all connected. It is like this larger scale shared path, even though we are all individually in it and experiencing it through different lens. I often say that this world card to me represents like this diamond that has like so many facets and like so many different points of view, so many perspectives. This is our world, right? It's like each individual is its own perspective of the world. But if we're all collectively doing this reflection right now, it feels like it leads to this notion, because it's giving me now another image. It's like it's giving me this image of a group of people just holding hands around a tree, right? It's kind of like, you know, this, okay, again, like this union in a sense. It's this, oh no, it's not. Okay, I was just trying to remember where this message was coming from, but it was actually in the extended yesterday for Cancer. It was talking about the marriage between the High Priestess and the Hierophant. It was like this very gorgeous but also very powerful union, right, of these two versions of a higher self. So maybe this is now growing to the collective, right? It's like the collective's higher self or higher perspective. It's like it's giving us the ability to perceive the planet in a way that it's not selfish, right? It's not harming or hurting anybody, right, that is there with us, because we are understanding that there are these knots, there are these nodes, there are these clusters, right, that make up this grid, make up this net. And it's kind of like this is this very big, wide perspective of how our wishes, how our desires really do shape the world, right? And if we do unite, right, as I'm seeing now with these people holding hands around the tree, it's kind of like, well, the tree is because, let me explain, because I feel like I gave you the image, but I didn't explain why it was there. Sometimes I see the symbol for the Wands suit as a tree, right? But it's almost like, yes, there is this central tree that is like, you know, the hub or the center of the reason why the others are gathering, right? It's like these clusters, but it's almost like, you know, each person is like a seed of this tree. So it's like, you know, just the ramification, the spreading of this new way of understanding desires, understanding the effects of, you know, wishing something that is truly inspiring, that is very it's like it's going to respond to personal desires, but it's also going to be aligned with how this affects this shared path. And so ending here with the King of Pentacles, I feel like the conclusion that I said early on is one that shows the value in acknowledging the world as it is, but also seeing that there are very rich possibilities of uniting with people that are wanting to it's like together, so that this one desire, this one individual desire is actually like this common shared wish, right, that is being fulfilled in this larger scale. So the conclusion overall that is represented here by the King of Pentacles, it's actually that if somebody that is mature enough to say that, okay, my desire is that this desire, this wish for the collective is that has to be, it has to come first, or it has to have priority on the list, because it's like the earth has limits. This is how I'm seeing this one as a manager, as one that knows how to deal with resources. And it's interesting because the word that I just heard was, it's like they know about scarcity, but they also know about abundance, right? Because typically the King of Wands is one that has, you know, maybe an abundant life. But that's the thing, it's like maybe because they see the world as it is, and maybe how, you know, this mindset, this collective mindset has been, you know, burning our ability to see the abundance, and actually has been locking us up into a mentality that is seeing all of the destruction, all of the burdens. But actually, when we realize that that can be changed and flipped, you know, each one of us individually doing this inner work, and also knowing that it has like this impact, right, in the collective. It's like, this is how we serve, right? Because it's like, with the knowledge that the King of Pentacles has, which is more practical, right, is a very Virgo energy. It's a very aligned and practical, objective type of vision of the world, right? It's like, how do we allocate resources? How do we allocate these people, or how do we direct this plan to make it something that is valuable, not just for me, but also for the rest, right? For the whole group, for the whole collective. So the conclusion is that it's okay to sacrifice, let's say. It's not a sacrifice. I'm just using the word because on the surface it could be like that. It could be interpreted like that, but it's not, right? Because the mindset is of a king. So it's like maturity over like this use of the resources, right? So it's like, how can we be more productive? How can we be more efficient? But also, how can we value things that are, instead of creating knots or actually making us feel more tied up, how can we actually create a net that is like this ultimate goal of, you know, uniting personal but also collective desires that are meant to bring this wealth, right? It's like sharing the wealth. It's like, it's not that, you know, this wealthy king is going to give away all of its money and then they are going into poverty and into scarcity. It's not like that. It's like, it's part of this inner questioning and reflection that there has to be this sharing, there has to be this gathering, but there's also the sense of, okay, I know that I have my own skills, my own practical skills, and how can I be of help, but also knowing that there are spiritual underlying intuitive nudges or guidances that are coming before the physical manifestation, coming before the plan is manifested, right? And because we do have Jupiter, this is a great opportunity, right? Jupiter, you know, as the biggest planet of our solar system, it just brings the promise of luck. So, you know, what was this lucky strike, or this is like this unlocking of like this limitless desire, right, to be fulfilled. Like, whatever we want is going to be delivered, is going to be granted. It's like, how can we just enjoy this opportunity? How can we make the most of this, right? It's like, it is this lucky opportunity, but we do have to be mature. We do have to have like this resourcefulness in mind, be mindful, plan ahead, do the inner work. So it's like, we do have everything organized, like inwardly, but also outwardly, so that when we get to manifest on the outside, it's kind of like, you know, even in the state of the world as it is like, we're going to see the potential that is there in the mud, right? It's like, we're going to go out there with all of this practical knowledge, with the abundance. It's kind of like, you know, going out there with the abundance mindset so that it overtakes the scarcity mindset. And that's how we untie the knots, by holding hands with those who are willing to sacrifice, in a sense, but also like to be of service, right? With our own individual desires, but also like how these desires can be for the, you know, higher good of everyone. So it's a big opportunity. Okay, so I am going to pull more cards for this collective reading to see where this wants to go, where this opportunity leads us. And also I'm going to pull from the astrological runes in the extended. So if you want to join me there, I'll be very happy to see you. You can find the link down below. If not, I'll see you next time. Okay, and happy full moon, by the way. Okay, bye.